As a child raised in the Midwest, I could always count on two things: living a simplistic lifestyle and family traditions. From our textbook, it states, "For a culture to endure, it must make certain that its crucial messages and elements are not only shared, but also passed to future generations." In this way, the past becomes the present and helps create and perpetuate the culture. This process of transmitting culture is a kind of cultural inheritance. Now, my item that has been passed down to me from generations is the act of sewing. I brought with me this pillow, and this is the first thing that I ever sewed when my grandmother taught me how to sew. Sewing is a cultural activity that has been passed down to me from my grandmother and from generation to generation. And it's something that I partake in that connects me to my grandmother and other members of my family, allows me to express my identity as a creative person, and documents my life history and family lineage. Sewing connects me to my grandmother and my family. As my grandmother taught me how to sew, I learned more about her childhood as she would tell me about how being creative and sewing was a large part of her life and her identity, which was neat for me to see how part of her identity now became part of mine. My grandmother also sewed me and my sister outfits growing up, and so we were able to kind of wear a part of her identity growing up and be closer with her in that way. Now, currently, I continue to make clothes for my siblings. I'm working on remaking an outfit that my grandmother had made for my sister when she was younger. I'm making a new one for my older sister, and I've also made a dress for my younger sister, and it just allows us to connect in a way where they are wearing something that I handmade and connects us in a very special way. Sewing also is important to me personally because it is part of my identity as a creative person. Sewing allows me to be creative and engage in a unique form of art. It allows me to have control over what I wear and in a way that I am able to create things that aren't in a typical retail store. And I'm able to express my creativity in that manner and show who I am as a person. Now, items that my family has sewn is also very important to my family culture because they help document my life's history as well as my family's lineage. Now, my great great grandmother sewed quilts, and so did my great grandmother and my grandmother. Um, this quilt is from my great grandmother, and this is for my great great grandmother, and she made this for my mom, and so we have this in our family. And then my great grandmother, she made me this quilt. She would ask my mother what kinds of things we were interested in growing up, and I was interested in dragon tails, and so she made that for me growing up. And then my grandmother made this quilt for me, which is made out of different t-shirts that I had. And it's just really amazing to see the lineage of my family, these strong women in my family making these beautiful art forms and that are getting passed down to me, and then me having that same ability to where hopefully in the future I'll be able to pass this down to other people as well. This t-shirt quilt is also really important to me because it allows me to keep track of my own personal history. It has a bunch of t-shirts from different activities that I was involved in high school, and it just allows me to keep memorabilia of different memories and my life's history as well. Overall, sewing has been a huge part of my life as it was passed down to me from my grandmother, and in a way in which I was able to learn about her life and connect with my family and other family members. and it allows me to be creative, which is part of my identity, and also allows me to document my life and see my family lineage, both past and hopefully future. Overall, this activity is very important to me because it shows it's and my culture, because it shows the simplistic and artistic lifestyles that women before me have lived and that now has been passed down to me in a way that which I carry throughout the rest of my life. This gift allows me to value and appreciate my cultural heritage, which is really important to me. One article that I found states a quilter will appreciate and value the work of past generations, but her daughters, if they have never learned it, the craft, will discard it as old-fashioned stuff. And I'm just blessed to be able to have had this gift and this skill passed down to me, so that I'm able to appreciate the legacy and the craftsmanship that my past family has had, and that I'm able to continue that as well.